After an accident, minutes matter. Your words and actions matter even more. You need help, and you need it now. This is David vs. Goliath, brought to you by Dolman Law Group Accident Injury Lawyers, a boutique firm with a reputation for going head-to-head with the insurance company giants and putting people over profits.
I'm Stan Gipe, and I'm here with my partner, Matt Dolman, for another episode of the David vs. Goliath podcast.
Thanks for having me, Stan.
We delve into all kinds of different issues on this podcast. A lot of them are legal. Some of them are somewhat interesting. In this case, I think we got one that's a little bit of both. It's somewhat legal and somewhat interesting because today, our primary topic of this podcast is going to be nude images in the legal age and digital age. What has changed?
You've kind of gone off the tracks recently. Your last podcast, or our last podcast, was about the individual caught an STD while using his vehicle. He's having sex in his back seat and was trying to blame his sexual injury when he caught a venereal disease on, he tried to seek liability coverage through his insurance carrier, not realizing there's a possible exclusion for that, and the court deemed it, obviously, there's no coverage. But
well, as an update, Matt was right. So anyone who remembers that episode, Matt took the position that there was going to be no coverage. I thought, this was a foreseeable use of an automobile. Matt was right. The appellate courts upheld that. Anyway. Right?
Yeah, I'm not trying to pound my chest.
Anyway.
The overarching issues, we seem to be delving into sexual-related issues lately. I'm not saying there's a problem with that either. I just want to get where your head's at.
I hadn't caught the connection until you said it, but now that you bring it up, I think it was me that picked both those topics too.
Says a lot about you. All right, let's delve into today's.
All right, so anyway, we got two different things that I found incredibly interesting, right? We got one instance of what you really shouldn't do and should think twice about doing before you take a naked picture or do anything with a naked picture. The next one's a little different, right? Next one is things that can happen even if you do everything within your power and you don't do anything wrong with your naked picture. So let's delve into the first one ahead of time. And this involves a case down here in Florida. Okay, so what we got now is a civil lawsuit where a sitting judge in court is suing an attorney that was handling the opposite side of a divorce proceeding. So the judge is divorcing her husband, right? They're in the middle of a divorce. Husband has an attorney representing. Husband's currently, according to everything we've seen on this, husband's currently got a new girlfriend. And this new girlfriend, according to articles, is a powerful attorney and power broker. Well, the judge wanted to, I'm trying to look up her name, Marnie Bryson is the judge's name. 15 Judicial Circuit. Okay, so she's the judge that's divorcing her husband, handling hearings, and wants to depose the husband's current girlfriend. Okay, husband does not want current girlfriend deposed, or at least husband's attorney, according to the lawsuit. So husband's attorney's friend, who's another high-profile attorney in Florida, relays a message to the judge while she's in chambers on doing something unrelated to her divorce. Okay, this other high-profile attorney tells the judge that her attorney moves forward with deposing her ex-husband's current girlfriend, that there will likely be nude photos and other damaging information of the judge released. So I sit here as an attorney, and I'm going to get Matt, I don't know that I'd have the guts to, one, try to send the message or be the attorney relaying the message like that to a judge.
So they're telling the presiding judge that the other judge, who's a client in this case, or a plaintiff in the case.
No. The judge who is the plaintiff, while she's in court,
is telling the presiding judge that they're going to...
She's the one that's being blackmailed with nude photos of her.
Understood? Yeah, okay.
If she allows her attorney to move forward, not the presiding judge.
Yeah, that's
the
what
judge,
I thought. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the presiding judge wasn't involved. It was opposite attorney, blackmail, sort of...
So I didn't read about this. I'm assuming that law enforcement got involved in this extortion?
Well, ultimately it blew up and it turns into a civil suit, right? Where the judge is suing the opposing attorney And when you read the details of this, okay, I first want to talk about what happened and how this judge, who is the party to the lawsuit, Marnie Bryson, what happened was, and this to kind of give you a little background according to the story, her and her husband became friendly during the divorce proceedings.
Okay.
And at some point, she sent him a nude photo of herself, and it was a pregnancy photo. And I said, yes, I see you squint a little bit. I kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, let that digest for a moment. Go on.
Right. So now you see how it digests. We're talking, and when you know the issues that pop up in divorces,
Of course. Yeah.
right, all kinds of stuff, infidelity, who's sleeping with who, who's
Yes.
trying to get who back, who's doing what, right? So when I'm playing this forward, I'm going, well, I could see this almost being considered by one of the attorneys to be okay. Because imagine this. Imagine if the ex-girlfriend is going to bring up these nude photos they got sent to the ex-husband. Sorry, this is confusing.
We should probably lay out a little roadmap. Go on.
Yeah, so lay out them out. So Marnie Bryson's ex-husband, current girlfriend,
Yes.
getting deposed. Okay. One issue that could potentially be relevant is the fact that Judge Bryson sent her ex-husband nude photos of herself while the ex-husband was dating the new girlfriend.
Understood. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? So you wonder, does this come out as extortion? Hey, if you do this, this is coming out.
I
Or,
don't see how it doesn't.
or do you get it? Is it relayed as a heads up? Hey, just giving you the heads up that this girl will be talking about this if you go through with this depo. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, but it's not. You're using that for a very. If this doesn't happen, this condition precedent, I'm going to do Y. If X doesn't happen, Y is occurring, and Y that's extortion. It's classic extortion.
Well, it can be extortion, and this is what makes this so interesting when I kind of get into, because I can see where there's a gray area to this, right? It seems so black and white when you first look at it, right? But what if you were in good faith trying to give the judge a heads up? How do you do that without it seeming like extortion?
I don't think you do in this case.
I mean, someone, if you're a friend, go, look, she's going to talk about those naked photos. Dude. Like if this was my friend, like the judge was my friend and we were talking about it, I go, boy, if you depose her, she's going to bring up those naked photos. You really want that stuff coming out?
But the appearance of impropriety here is be overwhelming.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it led to a civil lawsuit, which ultimately did get settled. There's a confidential settlement that was reached. So whether that indicates there was merit, whether that indicates...
Do you know when the attorneys were involved in this?
Personally, I do not know any of the attorneys, but if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to misspeak, I'm going to try to look at this article.
I mean, it's public record. Who are the lawyers?
Yeah, I think it was actually, I want to say might have been Jack Sarcola was the one that was accused of relaying the message.
Jack Scarola?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I say. It involved high-profile attorneys out here.
Uh-huh.
I think he was the one that was accused of relaying the message because I read that in there. And I'm trying to look at who it was. I'm looking for the name of the attorney that represented, because he's William Scherer was the...
Yep. He's out of Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. Conrad Scherer.
Conrad Scherer.
Yep. So that's the attorney that represented the ex-husband.
Yeah, he's a high profile. He handled all the clawback lawsuits in the Scott Rothstein Ponzi scheme. So...
Okay, so you're talking about high-profile people,
Sure.
And when you look at this, I can see it from both sides. As a judge, you're going to take this as a threat, no matter how it's relayed. But I can also say, see someone trying to give her the friendly heads up. Hey, this lady knows about these naked pictures, and that's going to come out during a depo, and it's going to be incredibly embarrassing. Could be taken both ways. Moral of this, right?
I would stay out of it.
Never send naked pictures, right? Okay.
Well, yeah, it's the first day. The first thing I teach in my 3-day seminar about when you send nude pics is never put your face in it. That's
well, okay. That was the second rule, right? If you can't follow the first rule to not ever send nude pics, rule number 2 is don't send nude pics with your face in it.
Yeah, I never understood that. Like many guys have ruined their career with dick pics where they put their face in it. Like, why would you? Some are bigger, some are smaller. We don't have to get into male genitalia, but the point is that. Why would you put your face in it? You could always have, plausible deniability if your face isn't in the picture. They put their face in the picture and their whole career goes to absolute shit. It's like, remember when Brett Favre sent a picture of his dick to some reporter
Yes. And as weird as this may sound, when people have asked this, I said, look, if you ever send a nude picture over the internet, it needs to be one that is in such a way that if your parents were to stumble across it randomly, they wouldn't know it was you.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first rule of thumb is don't send a nude pic, but yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, if you cut your head off, something like that, that's better. But look, in this day and age, okay, there's no such thing as a single copy of a document.
Nope.
There's no such thing as a single copy of a pic. There's no such thing as fully erasing something.
Can't do it.
Like you and I can't do it, right? Like we can, throw something in the recycle bin and hit delete, right? But the people who really want to dig stuff back up, there's copies of this, there's everything else that are out there.
It's a digital footprint, sure.
And okay, if you go through all the people you've known in your life, right? Okay, you can probably count on, two hands the number of people you've been friendly with throughout your life.
Sure.
Right? Situations turn, people turn, relationships turn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just because you've got a great relationship with someone today does not mean that photo will not be posted on a revenge porn site tomorrow when the relationship changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, moral of the story is don't do dumb things with naked pics. Don't put your head in naked pics, and don't send nude pics over the internet because you never know where they're going to show up. You never know how they're going to come back to bite you. And, okay, if you are in possession of nude pics, don't do dumb things with them, right? Don't think this is my opportunity to get leverage over someone. Because
I don't mind when it's nude pic. Like if I want to look at, there's many opportunities on the internet to go look at nude pictures. That's what you're into. I'm not saying I, as a heterosexual healthy, don't like looking at the pictures. But why would you want to have somebody's pictures stored in your phone? That could go wrong so many different ways. What if you lose your phone? What if somebody invades your privacy?
1,000 different ways it could go wrong. And let's segue a little bit into what I was going to say. The next topic we're going to talk about. Let's talk about nude pics that are digitized, posted in a database, and you did 100% every single thing right. Nothing anyone would ever blame you for doing, yet your pics get out there. Can you even conceive a situation where that would happen?
Well, being that I spoke to you in your office about 2 hours ago, this is the data breach case, so let's get into it.
Yeah. All right. So data breach, right? Everyone knows about data breaches. It's happened.
Sure.
It happens on a regular basis, happens to medical facilities, medical data, all this stuff. Well, Lehigh Valley Health Networks, right, recently agreed to a $65 million settlement over a ransomware attack that leaked patient data. Right? Nothing special about that. Nothing unusual.
Nope. We see them all the time.
Let's think about that. When we go deeper, what all is patient data? Right? For most of us, when you're going in, it's words. Okay? For some people, pictures are part of the patient experience and part of the healthcare experience for a patient, most usually with cancer patients, where people are looking at progressions of things, breast cancer, these kind of things. So people are in various states of undress. Okay, and these pictures are not taken for sexual purposes at all. It's not like someone's going, hey, I want to turn someone on. These are sometimes people post mastectomy. You got all kinds of different photos they're taking out there, and they would not ever take these photos if it wasn't necessary for the purpose of getting medical care.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not sending them to anyone. They're never going to plan on seeing them. This is purely for their doctors to be able to follow up on what they're doing, right?
Yeah, people in the most vulnerable moment. And this is such an invasion of privacy.
These photos got leaked and posted online. Completely different situation. But, it brings to sort of light one thing we were talking about before this. It's, there's no such thing as 100% safe digital photo.
What'd that settle for?
$65 million.
How many instances were there?
There were 135,000 of the system's healthcare patients were breached in total. Some of them nude photos, some of them not.
That seems like a very small settlement in light of how many people.
The settlement, the settlement values. So if we want to talk about what the nude photo people got, I've got a feeling it's on the top end. But the settlement values range from $50 to $70,000 per person.
It's small.
Yep, exactly. It's not worth it to you. Now, I guess, okay,
I would have opted out and filed my own individual lawsuit.
yeah, everybody's different, right? Some people might say, heck, that's a great sum. Yeah, if someone asks you ahead of time, hey, can I post this picture for $70,000? And you say yes, well, that's free to you. That's not the way this worked out. These people completely got violated.
Sure.
There's no way to ensure these photos are ever taken down completely.
No.
It's that knowledge that they could be out there in perpetuity. They're vulnerable pictures, they're vulnerable moments, but I really feel like this is an emerging area of law, and we're going to see a lot more cases like this. And I've kind of mentioned this to you in passing. I think this goes along the lines of almost like a sexual exploitation type of case. And really the problem you find with these is deep pockets, right? I truly think if I find someone with money who's sending out nude photos of like an ex or a significant other, I would love to represent someone like that in a cause of action for embarrassment.
Sure, it's so salacious. It's Jersey gonna give away big money on a case like this.
Yeah, because you get
it's not hard to connect the dots. Everyone's gonna feel the same way.
Everyone's gonna feel the same way, and it's rare that you really get to tell juries about the stuff that upsets them. We just had a case mistry on Monday. You know this. We were selecting a jury, made it all the way through jury selection, and it mistried based on some jury instruction. Don't want to get into the details, but the reason that's relevant here is our case involved drunk driving. Okay, it involved a motorcycle versus a drunk driver catastrophic accident. So when we're going through jury selection, you talk about a lot of the issues in the case. You touch on different issues that you might think will be relevant to find out if people have certain prejudices, right? For instance, one of the big ones, hey, if you've got a black juror, you want to find out if anybody is prejudiced against black people. Now, people typically don't volunteer those prejudices, but there's different prejudices that exist, right? Someone may have been sued and hate claimants. Someone may be overly sympathetic. So when we're going through different issues here, you can kind of read the jury, and some of them you think lean one way, some of them you think lean another, or you think, hey, these people are conservative, this one's aggressive. It wasn't until we mentioned the fact that this case might involve drunk driving, and the jury puts it together.
Yeah, they hate drunk drivers.
Oh, to the look in their eyes, right? I could see it's like a couple nice ladies in the front that looked mid-60s, like someone just as nice and innocent and as benevolent as could be. I mean, they turned into cannibals. Like they were ready to jump over the rail here and get their pound of flesh, right?
Yep.
I think they're going to have the same sort of visceral reaction. If I can get out
It's
there.
reptilian theory. We've known this with study in psychology. It's the fear of harms that can be caused to society, but then you bring that internally into yourself, and how do you protect your family from those harms, and you almost live through that fear, and that's what you want to protect against, and that's what juries give away big money for. That's what Don Keenan lectures around the country, the reptilian theory. I mean, that's put yourself in the shoes of that individual. Imagine you being, you having this kind of breach.
Oh, 100%.
Or your loved one getting killed by a drunk driver.
Right.
That could have been easily preventable and avoidable, but for the gross negligence.
To the extent we have anyone listening, all right, who's been a victim of, a sort of a sexual exploitation, unwanted distribution of compromising photos, that kind of stuff, and the person who did it actually has money to pay for damages, let us know. I'd like to go after those. Number one, okay, we'll make some money doing it. But number two, I really like pursuing causes that I believe in.
Yeah,
and, that sort of stuff, it's just irritating, right? I can't describe it, but it almost is sort of a form of online bullying.
It's disgusting. It's completely abhorrent, repugnant behavior.
The fact that and I don't want to say it's universal, but it almost universally, is males posting photos of their prior female relationship. It's rare.
Yeah, something given to you, obviously it was a female's most vulnerable moment, but she gave it to her significant other while they were dating for whatever reason. Obviously they weren't thinking it through. And then subsequently they break up and they post these images. And it's just horrific.
Well, here's the problem with it, right? The male is doing this because he knows female's not going to show up at his door and kick his ass.
Yeah.
Right? So what you got left?
Us suing them.
Yeah, exactly.
Problem is, most of these individuals don't have deep pockets.
That's
why.
the big, yeah. Usually,
That's what it precludes most lawyers from touching these cases. If absent deep pockets, and you've seen that initially on the sign up, you're generally not even going to investigate the case further, and you have a hard time finding a lawyer that's going to want to take that case on.
Yeah, because essentially, usually, people who are smart enough to make a lot of money are smart enough to not do that kind of stuff. It's not a universal rule, though. You know, I know of a few instances. I mean, we've represented. And we can't go into details on things, but we've been involved with people who had lots of money, made poor decisions involving the area of either sexual photos or sexual activities, and then were exposed to damages, right? Not everybody makes good decisions. So, and I got this kind of off topic, but I throw that out there because I've been interested in pursuing one of those. We haven't really had one come across the plate here that's been viable yet.
I guess I'll start blogging about that. I didn't know you wanted these cases, Stan. You made that clear during a podcast. I'm all over it.
Look, well, here's the thing, because I don't think people truly realize they can do anything about it, right? It's one.
Yes, you certainly can, but you have to have a deep pocket to go after them.
Right, and it's one thing. A lot of times people think the only thing I can do is call the police, and I don't want this person going to jail, or something like that.
Or they don't want to be involved and be victimized twice and have to deal with it again.
Yep, exactly. But so, yeah, if we blog about that, I would love to represent one or two of those people, especially against someone with deep pockets, because I think juries would be exceptionally receptive to that argument. Because as we look, right, we're talking about this data breach. We talked about a $70,000 payment. Every one of us thought that was low.
Agreed.
Okay? Imagine if it's done in a malicious format.
Ugh, disgusting.
Yeah, there's situations, and I know of one locally. Right, guy sends the compromising photos to the girl's parents.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway. All right, so we're going off track.
Awful.
It's awful. Is there anything else we should add on this? It just, I keep reminding, and we talked about this before, that the difference day we're in than from when you and I were young, we're younger. Because I can remember in this area, there was a lawsuit that had to do with sort of publication of sexually explicit photos. And I can vividly remember this because this is pre-digital age. This is all you used to have to worry about, right? It used to be you go take a photo, you'd get a roll of film, the film would get developed, you'd get your photos back. The only person you had to worry about getting those photos was the creepy guy behind the counter. Well, turns out one of those creepy guys at Eckerd's, was doing that behind the counter. Anytime someone would have explicit naked photos, he would take an extra copy, put it in his little photo album. And then at parties, he would pull this photo album out and say, here, look at all these random naked pictures we've got of women who you may not know, whatever. Just kind of everyone fun, look at this. Well, one of those parties, one of the women in the photos, friends, was at the party.
Okay.
And we told the woman in the photo she had developed the photos at Eckerd Drugs. So it went back and there was a lawsuit and she prevailed and got money as a settlement. But that was a different time, right? That was when we were talking about paper photos. They could actually get that photo back. It's done, right? Different day now. Do not send nude photos with your face in it. Do not send nude photos.
Just avoid the urge to send nude photos. Send someone else's photo. Pull an image on the internet and say it's you.
Yeah, that's it.
That person's already doomed.
Hey, come on. Morgan does it on his billboards. You seen his billboard back there, shirtless, resting on the raft?
Oh yeah, where he's packs.
Yeah.
In real life, he's very overweight. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, just put your head on a photo from the internet and send it out. You're good. But
yeah, there you go.
Anyway, so a little off topic today, but these are some of the more interesting things I saw come across my desk last week when we read.
I enjoy this. It's a change of pace.
When we read some of these different stories, and I just find it, interesting the way the law intersects with sort of the changing technologies. And Matt, you're kind of a king of that because you deal with so much search engine, like in a little bit different area. But when it comes to technological advancements in the law, I think probably we're on leading edge, right? On most of this stuff, we're ahead of most of it. But when it comes to society adapting to technological change and adapting our behaviors, we always learn from experience, right? So
Agreed.
I think we're in that phase where nude photos are blowing up, and slowly people are learning from experience. I never should have sent that out, right? We're getting ready to see our first, the first phase of kids getting into college, okay, that are now getting bit in the butt by tweets they put out when they were 11.
Yeah, your search history will always follow you. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, everything's indelible these days. You cannot get away from it, So can't impress that enough. I try to say that to my son, but God only knows he's 15 years old. I have no idea what all he's posting, and I'm sure he doesn't follow that rule religiously.
Oh, you gotta stay on top of him.
Yeah. Well, I'm not worried about him posting anything improper, just saying dumb stuff that will come back to bite him.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember my behavior after the October 7th. Made some very pro-Israel comments, being Jewish myself, and that came back to bite me a little bit. So that's why you kind of don't want to delve into these things and stay away from controversy. And it's just realize that everything you put on the internet is going to be looked at by others, and there's no timeline for where that goes away. It just generally sticks around for a very long, if not indefinite period.
All right. Well, I think that's about all I've got. If anything you want to add before we wrap this episode up?
No, I think we beat that horse. I really enjoyed that topic, though.
Yeah, I did too. It was fun. So this has been another episode of the David vs. Goliath podcast. I'll let Matt take over and tell you how you can reach us if you ever need to know anything or have any questions about any of the podcast issues, episodes, legal questions, lawsuits, want to be a client, any of that stuff. Matt.
Sure. You can go online, look us up at dolmanlaw.com, D like in David, OLMANLAW.com. You can reach us 24/7, 833-552-7274. You can look at our mass tort website, Lawsuit Legal News, to keep on top of some of the bigger mass torts out there like paraquat or heavy metals and baby food or Roundup litigation, talc powder causing ovarian cancer. You'll get we update that site generally every single day. So that's how you can get a hold of us.
All right. Well, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure we'll be back on next week to talk about something else. Hopefully it's interesting.
Yeah, hopefully it's not sexually related. Let's move on to
Yeah,
other
well,
stuff, so.
Now that you've brought it to my attention, I can certainly tell you the next topic that I'm in charge of will neither involve sex nor nudity.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you, and have a great day for listening.
This episode of David vs. Goliath is over, but your journey is just getting started. To share your story with us, visit dolmanlaw.com. That's DOLMAN law.com, or call 866-965-6242. The insights and views presented in David vs. Goliath are for general information purposes only and should not be taken as legal advice for any individual case or situation. The information presented is not a substitute for consulting with an attorney, nor does tuning into this podcast constitute an attorney-client relationship of any kind. Any case result information provided on any portion of this podcast should not be understood as a promise of any particular result in a future case. Dolman Law Group. Big firm results, small firm personal attention.